Hello, America. Thank you so much for asking me to contribute today to this event. And I bring you greetings from the newly declared fascist state of Britain. Britain. I could have said America, or Canada, or France, or Spain, Germany, Australia. Because what we are facing is a global fascist dictatorship that has been so long planned, which is why I could have warned about it over the last 30 years. Behind me is the English Channel, and if you go further out, it becomes the Atlantic. And around 3,500 miles, pretty much in that direction, is the coast of the United States. And it's funny because we give names like English Channel, like Atlantic, to what is actually the same body of water. Pacific, same. Indian Ocean, same. South China Sea, same. All these different names when everything is one ocean, one sea. And so it is with the human race. We give ourselves, and we are given, all these names and labels to define us, when actually all of us, none excluded, are different points of attention in the same flow of infinite awareness. Here we are looking at ourselves as divided into labels and names, when actually we're all expressions of the same consciousness, exploring forever, forever. The names, the labels, are just brief experiences. As human is a brief experience for the consciousness that is having those experiences. What a different world it would be if we realized that we are all different expressions of each other. Here we are as one consciousness, being systematically divided and played off against each other. So we are in conflict and division, and a few hands on the strings of all sides can play us off against each other and therefore go on driving the human family into a Orwellian global dystopia. Up to this point, unchallenged, because we're too busy fighting ourselves. We're not supposed to know that we are all one, because the potential for people coming together in common cause is too great. Coming together in common cause to demand freedom. We are not looking at random events. What is happening now has not just come out of nowhere. It's been planned for enormous amounts of time. And through this process, everything has been put into place so that it can be played out now as that which has been in the hidden all these decades, all these centuries, has now entered the room and put itself on public display. And the key to reaching its goal of this global fascist dystopia is to divide and rule the target population. And my goodness, how they have worked to do that in America in the last few years. To divide America, to play different groups and beliefs off against each other. And the irony is that as that goes on, the cult, the global cult of secret societies and semi-secret groups that I've been exposing for 30 years, has everyone, all sides, in its gun sights. Whether Trump supporters in the Midwest or the wokers of California, all cultures, all races, all sexualities, all political beliefs are all in the gun sights of this cult. And if we go on being divided, then they will succeed. And where we are now is only where we are. It's not where this is meant to go. Where this is heading is a global dystopia that would make the Nazis embarrassed at its scale and its depth. As Orwell talked about, if you want a picture of the future, then imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever. That's where we're heading, and in 2020, so demonstrably, we are heading there so fast. But it doesn't have to be. There are billions of people in the target population. And at the core of this cult, you would get them in one room. The answer is staring us in the bloody face. COVID-19. How can a few control the many unless the many acquiesce to that imposition? It's impossible. It's unenforceable. So the answer has to be not finding a solution to what's going on, but removing the cause of the problem, which is human acquiescence to our own enslavement. As I've said many times, fascists do not impose fascism. There's not enough of them. Fascism is imposed by the population acquiescing to fascism. And if that stops, it's over. If it doesn't stop, this cult will reach its endgame of total human control via, not least, an AI connection to the human mind. So AI becomes the human mind. But there are many great things happening amid the unfolding nightmare. And we need to build massively and very quickly upon that. I look back at the first lockdown in Britain in the spring of 2020. And I used to drive around this area. I would go from ghost town to ghost town with no one in the street, no one on the roads, because people had bought the perception that there was a deadly virus, and therefore they acquiesced to house arrest in the belief that it would protect them from a virus that doesn't actually exist. Brackets, see my other videos and the work of people like Andrew Kaufman. But this time, this second lockdown in Britain, nothing like the same. The streets, despite so many of the shops being told to close, have been full of people compared with the spring. The roads look pretty much like normal in terms of traffic. So unlike the spring. Because what has been happening through these months is that lie after lie and deceit after deceit has started to stir humanity awake. And for someone who's been investigating this for 30 years, I've never seen anything like what's happened in 2020. Yes, there are still so many who just do what authority tells them by reflex action. But the numbers of people now who are starting to see the world is not like they thought it was, and certainly is not controlled by who they thought it was, has been growing massively. Week on week, month after month. People in the system who were compartmentalized from knowing what they were part of are starting to see it. So this is a time of great danger. Of course it is. We're looking fascism in the face. But it's also a time of great opportunity, because increasingly large, enormous numbers of the human family are awakening to reality as it really is. And that gives us a phenomenal opportunity. Because this cult has come out of the shadows in so many ways, for us to rid human society of this psychopathic evil once and for all. And it is psychopathic evil. And we owe it to ourselves, and my goodness, we owe it to our children and grandchildren, to stand up, stiffen the backbone, and say enough. Because what needs to happen now is that this awakening perceptually to the world as it is, and has always been in the shadows, needs to now be transferred into mass non-cooperation with our own enslavement. No longer obeying the dictates of the psychopaths and their moronic gophers in government. My God, there's 30 million people in America. The number of people calling the shots in terms of the months of 2020 are tiny. Even down to just the governors in some cases, many cases. How can that be if the population says no? And like I say, we owe it to our children and grandchildren. Because, I say again, where we are is where we are. It's not where this is meant to go. And we cannot stand by and watch our kids go like lambs to the slaughter into this dystopian tyranny while we just watch as it happens. We need to come together with the power of no. The power of no and the power of self-respect. No, we will not obey and acquiesce to psychopathic evil. Not going to happen. No, we are not going to submit to it. No, we're not going to watch our children disappear into a dystopia while we do nothing. And self-respect. Self-respect. What happened to that? Self-respect has broken every tyranny in history. Because without self-respect, you can't break tyranny. It's self-respect that says, I'm not doing it. I'm not cooperating with my own enslavement, and I'm bloody well not cooperating with the enslavement of my kids. And without self-respect, what is left? Except submission. That's all that is left. And they're trying to delete from us our self-respect so that the submission is left. What is the self-respect in putting a face nappy, a face diaper on your face? Where is the self-respect? Why have you got a face diaper on? Well, the government said. Self-respect? Nowhere to be seen. And the mask is a symbol around which we can unite and start this process of dismantling this edifice of frickin' evil. The mask is a symbol of submission, a symbol of being silenced, a symbol of dehumanization and a deletion of individuality and uniqueness. That's why it is. It's happening. That's why it's mandatory more and more, because it is a symbol of all those things. Not driven by health, but driven by psychology to change the psyche of the population. But the mask can also be a symbol of freedom around which we can unite. And it becomes a symbol of freedom when you take the bloody thing off and you throw it away, or even better, you never put it on in the first place. So, people of America, people of the world, if you want to express your freedom in a clear and powerful way, take your bloody mask off and regain your self-respect and your sovereignty as a unique expression of all that is. It may look daunting, it may look almost impossible for us to turn this around and the direction that we're heading so fast, but it's not. I go back to the numbers, billions in the target population, a handful at the core in full knowledge of what they're doing. What it's going to take is courage and indestructible determination to stand and say no. The power of no and the power of self-respect is what is going to bring this to an end. And so it is with putting down the fault lines of irrelevant, illusory division and come together united, all races, all cultures, all sexualities, all nations of people, to come together as one human family with one heart and one goal. Freedom! Thank you, America! Let's bloody go!